Hey, everybody, while we're getting folk up here, I encourage you to just take 12 seconds and stretch or wiggle. Stretch or wiggle, either one, whatever. And I'm going to say for the record that I did a really great job on coloring my bicycle. And I'd like to see if anybody else here did some coloring of their bicycle. It's high art. And so my name is Terry Kylo. I am a Lutheran pastor serving for about 30 years. I also serve in the Episcopal Church. That's the church that had the awesome bishop speak yesterday, okay? And so I'm the executive director of Paths to Understanding. We have been around since 1960 when a rabbi, a priest, and a Protestant pastor started a TV program to speak as equals about the problems of the day. I got my start doing this kind of work because I got to know some Muslims at a restaurant not far from here. And I got to know them well, and I began to understand how anti-Muslim bigotry was being funded in this country and how it was working. And so in 2016, I left parish ministry to counter anti-Muslim bigotry full-time. And so, but as that work kind of was maturing and we got into the pandemic, I began to ask people, literally atheist to Zoroastrian, and I mean that quite literally, what do you see happening in our society? Why does it happen? And what does your tradition say we do when we're in this spot? And all of them said that we're dangerously unequal, and all of them said that we're dangerously divided. And so I asked the question, what do we do? So the question on hopefully the second slide there, if we have it, is to eat and share stories, to do some kind of service project together and show our care for the community together, and then to have a public event where we can hear why we, on the basis of our own traditions, cultures, identities, economic situations, ages, whatever it is, feel it's important to honor each other's humanity. And so this last year we did that. Now, two of the people that were part of this team to help develop this idea called Let's Go Together were Squaha. You can also call her K-Not. She is an elder in the Upper Skagit tribe. And she was a huge part of creating the underlying basis for this program and also carrying it out, because Kay and I spent 18 months out talking to organizations and leaders and asking them how they feel about the sense of dividedness in Skagit County. And guess what we found out? Just like what we heard this morning. That people feel isolated and lonely, that we're segregated from each other, almost as if we're legally segregated. But folk didn't know what to do. And so Kay and I went out there, and then we hired Vivica about a year ago to continue those conversations. And so I want to pass you off to Kay now about the trepidation people have, because we feel so divided, we're not quite sure how to come together. Let's Go Together and another project we're doing are intended to be a first step for people to begin to create organic relationships. But it takes a lot of work to get there, and for that I want to pass you off to Squaha.
Haslahale, Squaha Tadzda, to all Skagit. Good day. I'm really glad to be here today. When Terry and I have been doing this work, the number one reason that people gave for why they didn't go into other groups, why do we stay in our own groups? The number one answer is fear. What if I say the wrong thing? How do I get introduced to somebody that's indigenous? Or women? Or tall Lutherans?
Scary group.
Yes. So how do I do that? And what if I say the wrong thing? I've never been hanging out with a Lutheran before. So how do you do that? And they're afraid. And so what they found out is when they got together that these incredible relationships formed. And they did not talk about their ideologies and theologies. They talked about their humanity, the things that were important to them. And the botany was incredible. And I realized that I invited a lot of people from our native group, how isolated they were from other groups and how grateful they were to have this, because they had a misconception that they would not be received well. They were uncomfortable. And these were people who are highly educated and out in the community. We isolate ourselves. But I'm going to read this to you real quick. This is Vi Blue Hilbert's words, and I hope that this says a lot to what you are doing together and what we're trying to do. Gulapu si'iab diishid, tigwi tabuthachath, tigwi tabuthachath, dai ha tias sokchath altias lahale, asquadit suchath, as ushub tabutchath, shak siab diishid, utigwi tabuthachath, altis dialab, uthali si'iab, uquahal tagwalchath, uquahal tagwalchath. To all of you, dear people, we give thanks. We thank you. It is good that we could be here together today. We pray and humble ourselves to our Creator. We give thanks that all of you are here with us. We help each other. We help each other in this way. We strengthen one another.
So I'm so grateful to be able to do this work with these incredible people and to watch their relationship and how it's so inspiring. And I'm also grateful to all the council members who bring people together in Skagit County. We couldn't do it without everyone. And there are actually a number of them here. Nancy from PFLAG and Sylvia from Triumph Teen Life Center, Sheriff from Burlington Lutheran, Keiko, who you've already heard from, and Tony from Underground Ministries is part of North Sound, but he's not here right now. But that's just a small sample of all the different groups that are a part of Let's Go Together and are coming together to know each other when they probably would maybe have only seen each other on the streets, but not had a way to, or the courage to say hi. It's hard. So we had these 3 gatherings that Terry talked about, eating and sharing stories, doing a service project together, and then finally showing up in public to say, we care about each other. We may disagree on things, but we need to recognize each other's humanity. And what happened was that people would share each other's they would share their stories with each other, they would make memories together, and then at each new gathering, they'd greet each other and say hi and remember that they had connected with this other human being. They'd share their contact information, and then people have showed up later at different gatherings to talk about what they've done, to get coffee with each other. So this is really just starting. But if you want to learn more about it, I think there's a QR code up there with some videos of the gatherings that are really exciting to watch. And if you want to be a part of this and you're a part of Skagit County, come and talk to us, either one of the council members around here or me or Terry or Squaha Halitza. We'd love to talk more about how you can be involved with this movement to bring people together.
And let's be super clear about how we recruited. So our organization was an interfaith or interreligious organization, which we include atheism, agnostics, and all kinds of philosophies in. But those are not the only ways we're divided. We think about economic situations, minoritized communities, all kinds of groups. And so as we began to do some work together, and Kay and Vivica were both pivotal in this, is we went out and talked to nonprofits or community organizations that serve minoritized communities and invite them into the space. We're also pretty clear with the dominant culture folk that they're going to have to learn some skills around listening. And so we modeled some of that during the event. And so we also had table facilitators. So we intentionally recruited as wide a group as we could. Was it perfect? Absolutely not, because we believe in getting started and not getting perfect. Do you hear what I'm saying? Okay, then also, we also realize that these conversations are difficult because we're all like mainlining this poison about each other. Social media doesn't just tell you the facts, it targets you of things that you're fearful about and communities that you want to protect and about someone else being a danger to them. So everybody's coming with all this fear. And so the questions we ask aren't like major philosophical questions. They're experience-based questions. Like, what was your favorite food as a child? And in that storytelling and in that listening, something profound happens because we change at the pace of relationship. So we're not saying that this kind of bridge building is the only strategy during this difficult time. We are not saying that. We need direct service, we need advocacy, we need public leadership. But let me ask you a question. When was the last time you changed a major position in your life without having a relationship that made that happen, right? That facilitated that? I've changed because I've gotten to know so many people. Kay has changed me. Vivica has changed me. Tony has changed me from underground ministry, right? We change at the pace of relationship, and so our goal is to create initial conversations that then lead to an organic connection that then help us to work on the dangerously divided part of our issues and the dangerously unequal part of the issues of our society so we can build a positive future. Thank you so much for listening and for being here. And wiggle again. Please wiggle again.
And as I'm walking off the stage, I'm going to encourage you to watch the videos, the 3 videos. The first one is the dinner. You will be so impacted by the stories that participants told, and I hope that that really moves you and understand how wonderful these relationships are. Had to sneak my extra words in.